Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only Anna Kelly. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to be here as always.
So we're gonna sneak in a fourth episode, and we're actually gonna piggyback it off episode number three. Episode number three, we were talking to new investors. We played a little game of ping pong back and forth, and it just dawned on me: why don't we pretend to be new investors today? So again, we own nothing. We're still employed at our last employer, and we want to get started in real estate. Obviously, we're now doing it much later in life, right? We're not in our 20s or 30s. We're in our 40s and 50s. I'm older, so I'm in my 50s, not Anna. But what would we do today, right? It's kind of a weird question.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, we're heading into a recession, whether we're in one or going to one. It's weird. So what would you let's play ping pong again. What's one of the first things you would do, Anna, if you were that excited investor, you wanted to start, you want in this case, it's not your why is not staying home with your babies. Maybe it's to be retired with your husband or whatever that
Yeah,
is. But what's one of the first things you would do today? This is a weird conversation.
it is. Who knows where this is going to go? I think the first thing I would do, which is really important, is to understand what do I want out of real estate in the next couple of years? What's my real financial goal that I need to achieve?
Hmm.
And depending on that financial goal, what kind of real estate should I consider going into? Right. If I want to be home with my retired husband in the next couple of years, I need to figure out how to buy real estate that's going to generate some income to
Mhm.
allow me to retire a little bit early. I'm not going to worry about huge upside, especially in a recession. I'm not going to worry about, preservation of capital as much because I'm going to stay at my job and have a good
Mhm.
income for a while. But I
Mhm.
am going to go, how can I develop more income with what I have if that's my key financial goal?
Yeah. I think the first thing I would have to look at is my job, right? Because again, I had a high W-2 job, but it was sales, right? Software sales specifically. So the first thing I would do, and I would tell anybody kind of in this situation, is get as close to revenue as you can. In my profession, there were some times where selling brand new products with no customers is the best. And there's sometimes where you want to be a farmer and sell to your install base. Heading
Mm,
into a recession, it's time to, if you have accounts where there's an install base, that's your best place. So I would not be on new products. I would not be in new areas. I've been a leader that's had to cut entire products, not because they weren't great in the future of the company, it's because we needed to be cash flow positive and they were drains. So the first thing I would tell anybody in my situation is protect your day job, or at least do as much as you can. Layoffs happen. There are decisions being across the country by employers. Look at Robinhood whacking 23% just
yeah.
yesterday. So you can't be certain, but you can do a few things to get a little bit close to the revenue. So the first thing I would do, because again, replacing my income in a recession in sales might not be as easy in a bad market as a good. So I would
Mhm.
take care to protect my day job, or at least the best I could. That's where I'd probably start.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Back when I was, in the Great Recession working for AIG, really what saved me is I had a job that was extremely complicated and was not easy to train someone else to do it. And so I weathered, that 10 years and retired on my own. The other thing that I would do along that line that's really important right now, I just saw a new update on household savings. And people between 40 and 60, the median savings is only between $3,000 and $6,000 outside of their retirement accounts, right? But actual savings money.
Wow.
That's not enough for 1 month of high income earners, right? So really, normal times, good times, things that are keeping on going up. 3 months expenses may be enough, especially if you're a two income earner. But
Mhm.
I would recommend that you save 6 months of your living expenses before you even consider investing in something else to protect that downside risk of you losing your job, because you don't want to be investing and having all your money in some kind of investment and having no liquidity if
Mhm.
you do lose your job, which is very possible if the economy gets pretty tough.
Absolutely. I think that's awesome. The other one, the last one I would do to kind of prepare is I call it understanding needs versus wants. This is something that was highly impactful for Olivia and I when we were in our 30s. I assume it would be impactful today, right? What is a want versus a need? Because what really allowed us to accelerate our growth was stacking cash every month, right? Because we got down to a 50% spend level. So I would certainly do that again, because anything I could stack, I can either put to savings or put towards a down payment. And again, for me, I understand that recycling capital is important, but again, if we're starting today, I'm 3, 4, 5 years from recycling capital. So if I could get one more purchase because I'm not enjoying life, right? I'm only doing my needs, not my wants. I would look forward to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One more thing that I would throw out there is you've really got to do an evaluation, and learn to leverage your time, your money, and your credit. Those things are really important. How much time do you really have to give? How much money do you have to give? And is your credit stellar enough that you can get loans for the properties that you want to buy? And
Mhm.
if you don't have great time, money, or credit availability, you've got to learn to leverage other people. And maybe you start out with a partnership, right?
Mhm.
Someone else that has time, money, and or credit that you don't have, where you can bring value to them, they can bring value to you, and you can do a property together.
Yeah. And then my final one is just going to be, I would just jump into my 7 rules. I would get a buy box in Fresno. I would look at it every day. The one thing I didn't do, and I admitted it was a mistake in my first book, was networking. I have a
Yes.
goal. I think it's rule number 3, might be number 4, to meet 2 new people a week. I would try to meet 4 or 5. I would try to call every agent on every listing in my buy box. I would tell everybody what my buy box was. Um, because again, you just never know, right? We're going to head into an environment where slowing down. So if you're going to talk to listing agents who are eventually going to be hurting, if not hurting already, you just never know where that opportunity is going to come from. So that is something I would definitely do different. I didn't really network on purpose for 5 years. I would network
Yeah.
today. I would try to meet 2 new people a day. I would find the 15 minutes in my schedule to place 2 phone calls. I would follow up emails. I would tell everybody my buy box. I'd probably go to Fresno every weekend like we did back in the beginning. I haven't been to Fresno in 2 years because our network's wired in. Um, and we bought deals. I just don't have to go anymore. But I'd go every weekend. I'd meet new people. I'd take agents and brokers to lunch. Um, I would just do the work. I would just get going. So that's what I do.
Absolutely. I love that. And I would also say it's really important to focus, as we talked about in video number 2. You know, you got, once you figure out what you want, you need to figure out where do I want to start? And then you need to go all in and give it some time. And ideally you start out, if you're going to be an active investor and you're going to be, updating properties and managing them yourself, do it fairly local. If
Oh,
you're
for
in a
sure.
market that can allow you to buy good deals fairly local, look within half an hour if you have to. If you're not going to go active and you just say, you know what, my portfolio is really not doing well, maybe I can take a 401k loan, or maybe I can take some of the savings that I have, and maybe I can invest passively with other people in other markets that are doing a great job and create the returns passively as well. So there's all different kinds of ways to do it. The key is knowing yourself, knowing what you want, then creating a focus on what type of investments you're going to go after.
Yeah, that's it. So again, it's actually a little frightening for me to think about starting at 0 today, right? 22 years building this thing, but it's we would do kind of the same thing. And I would probably, the last thing I'll say is, I certainly would want to get 1 deal done this year. I mean, that would be my goal, if not 2. But again, 30-year money, cash flow day 1. I would prefer some, if not all, seller financing. I would go back to, what zip code am I looking at in Fresno? I do only houses, just because I think that's just what I would probably buy again. That's where I started. But yeah, it's a little frightening to think about starting over at 50.
You know what? I think it would be too, but now I know so much that I didn't know then.
Oh
And
yeah.
honestly, when we're at the bottom, and we're close to the bottom if we're not there, right? We're at the beginning of the fear of the bottom
Hmm.
of the
Oh
market.
yeah. Yeah.
It's the best time to get started if you
Oh, for
haven't. And
sure. Yeah.
so, if we lost everything, I have no doubt I could rebuild it in half or a third of the time that I did before,
Oh,
right?
I agree with
Um,
that.
but you have to be bold when everybody else is afraid, right?
Hmm.
And just get started, and know when you can start in a market like this, you've got upside over a great deal of time. So
Oh,
just
for
keep,
sure.
jump in, get the deals done. I'm excited of where we are, and I think there's more opportunity coming than what we've seen in 10 to 12 years of real estate.
I couldn't agree more. I believe the next 2 years, I will secure more property with less down than I did
Yeah.
the last 2 years, and that's the magic. Because again, the only thing I worry about is yield. Some people call it cash on cash or return on capital. I want to basically, how hard is my cash working in that asset? And again, I have every
Right.
asset measured against itself. And yeah, seller financing, creative financing, subject to all these things. I would go hard on, because I know in the next 2 years there are going to be some sellers that have to sell, and there are a lot of buyers are going to be scared, and we could step in and make it happen. So I'd be excited, but I don't want to start over, but I could.
Yeah, me too. Real estate's amazing.
There you go. Well, Anna, how can people find you?
Great. You can find me on social media at Anna Kelly REI Mom. You can find me at my website, reimom.com, and here every week and on my playlist on your channel.
Thank you so much. You've been great.
Thank you.